Welcome back to Empowering the Educator Within. I'm your host, Christina Schaller, and today we're diving into a topic that IB educators everywhere will instantly relate to: the elusive transdisciplinary framework. Now, if you're working in an IB school, you've probably had this conversation more than once. How do we actually make meaningful connections between subject areas? The IB talks a lot about transdisciplinary learning, and the idea sounds beautiful on paper, but in practice, it's a bit like chasing a unicorn. Everyone believes in it, but no one's actually seen how to make it work because there's no clear plan of action. That gap between vision and implementation is where so many schools get stuck. Educators understand the goal: integrated, student-centered learning that flows across disciplines. But without a shared structure to support it, they're left to interpret and improvise. What's needed is more than a belief. It's a concrete framework that turns big ideas into everyday practice. Let's face it. Most schools try to create these connections through individual planners. But without an overarching structure to tie everything together, we end up with a lot of well-intentioned ideas and very little cohesion. Most teachers are planning in isolation, hoping their lessons line up with someone else's, or even that their own subjects connect in meaningful ways. But the reality is, there's no shared system guiding those connections across the team, or even within a single classroom. And that's where things break down. But what if it didn't have to? Let me walk you through a transdisciplinary framework that brings it all together, starting with a simple mental picture. Imagine a large planning table in the middle of your team meeting space. At the center of the table sits a shared document, something like a 9-frame grid. Each box represents one subject area: language, math, PE, arts, science, social studies, and so on. As your team meets to plan a unit, each teacher adds to their box what they're teaching, how it links to the central idea, and crucially, how it might connect to the other boxes on the table. You can almost see invisible threads stretching between subjects, forming a web of meaningful connections. This is what we call the Team Transdisciplinary Planner, a space where collaboration is structured, not spontaneous, where every teacher contributes with intention and no subject stands alone. Once the team planner is complete, each teacher takes it back to their own workspace. This is where the second half of the transdisciplinary framework comes into play. If the team planner on the left represents the collaborative thinking, then the individual teacher planners on the right are where that thinking gets translated into day-to-day instruction. Teachers aren't starting from scratch. Their personal plans are shaped by the connections established during the team meeting. That shared document becomes their reference point, anchoring their lessons in a broader school-wide vision. Take the performing arts teacher, for instance. Rather than jumping straight into selecting songs or designing choreography, their first step is to review how their lessons can build on what's happening in language arts, social studies, or even math that week. Those connections from the team planner become the foundation for their weekly planning. But the process doesn't stop there. As the week unfolds, teachers return to the team planner, adding reflections, student inquiries, or observations that could influence the next round of collaborative planning. It's a two-way cycle. The team plan guides individual planning, and what happens in the classrooms feeds back into the team's collective direction. That continuous exchange is what turns this framework into something far more impactful than a planning tool. What you end up with is a living, breathing system, one that adapts to what's really happening in classrooms and evolves with your students' learning. This approach doesn't just suggest transdisciplinary learning, it requires it. By design, teachers can't plan in isolation. They're not just building on each other's work, they're also deepening their own planning, aligning it with a shared school vision. And sure, it's not always simple. Specialists see multiple classes. ELL and learning support staff plan differently. Mainstream teachers juggle several subjects for the same group of students. That's why this framework is customizable. It's a structure, not a script. In future episodes, we'll break this down even further. We'll look at how to design personalized planners that suit each teaching role, how to run effective team meetings using this model, and how to build transdisciplinary assessments that actually work. In the meantime, if you want to see visuals of the transdisciplinary framework and how the system functions, head to the education blog at shallowbooks.com. You'll find the full article along with diagrams to help bring this framework to life. And if you're looking for ready-made planning tools, templates, and rubrics to support this kind of collaboration, you'll find them in Empowering the Educator Within, a combined book and workbook, and in ESB Planners, our digital planning platform designed to turn this framework into an actionable school-wide system. Thanks for listening and for continuing to lead with intention in your planning and practice.